Sup? How you doing? Oh, I know. I'm aware. I'm okay. I'm good. I'm doing all right. I'm okay. I'm here as a humble mix engineer to talk about another Good Terms recording. The title of this one, Progress. That's what we're talking about today, like it or not. So strap in. The song was entirely mixed by AI. We spent a lot of hours getting this thing ready, playing it in a room together. It was one of the only Good Terms songs that we've done that with. We really wanted to make it feel really, really human. We wanted to create something really great. So we all spent time in a rehearsal room, flushing things out, really basing our decisions off of how we're feeling, how we're being moved by what we're playing, by where the song's going, by what it's doing. Brendan tracked drums, edited his drums. I tracked bass, I edited my bass. Zach, Kid, Ivan, all did the same thing. Spent hours really trying to make this thing the best it could be and really try to communicate our spirit as people, communicate our humanity. Zach mix prepped the whole thing for me, gave me this beautiful Pro Tools session, a Pro Tools session containing works of art made by some of my best friends in the world. I'm so lucky to hear my friends playing at the best of their ability and trying to communicate their feelings as people, as humans. So what I did once I got that session, I kind of just uploaded it to a website and mixed it for us. So, obviously not in my house. I can't have another conversation about AI this week. I can't do it. But just as a creator, just as someone who wants to make things, don't you want to make the thing? Isn't that the part that is the fun part? No? Maybe I'm a fucking weird guy. I personally hate finishing things because then I'm done with the thing. I used to ride motorcycles, and for the first couple months I would notice this thing where I'd go, okay, I'm gonna go ride up the canyon to the park. Then I'll stop at the park and I'll hang out for a little bit. But I was having this experience where I would do my ride, I'd be having a great time, and then once I get to the park, I would just get this like debilitating crash of energy, immediately depressed. And I remember talking to my therapist about it and being like, what is that? And I remember her being like, well, the fun part is when you're actually doing the thing. Once you get to the location, it's like, oh, well, now my fun time's over. So why would you want to automate that? I just don't fucking get it. I don't mean to be a purist here. Even the parts where you're like, I am awful at this, I'll never make anything good again. And then the yo-yoing back to, well, this is fucking sick. This is the best thing I've ever made. I just don't understand foregoing the fun for the sake of finishing something or having something. For me, having the thing is only a product of all the fun that you just had. Or maybe it's because I'm insecure, and in order for me to feel like I did something, I have to feel like I worked for it. Maybe that's it. I don't know. Whatever. I told you I can't have another fucking conversation about AI. I'm not doing it. Okay, are you ready to get walked through the song Progress by the rock band Good Terms? Are you ready? Strap in. We're gonna go through this the way that I tend to mix, which is bottom up. We're gonna start with drums. I'll talk about what I did with drums, then bass, then guitars, then production stuff, then vocals. The good news is I did this fairly recently, so I should be able to have some specific comments regarding how I was feeling about things, why I was making the decisions that I made. Are you ready? Let's start with our drums here. Like most of my mixing, I will loop the chorus or whatever part that I feel like represents the song the best. Let's see how our drums ended up, and then we can go backwards. Very nice. Turned out pretty good, gotta say. So the majority of my kick sound is this kick in. So this is with no plugins, and this is with plugins. That's what I came up with for our primary kick sound. And then all of the other kick mics are supporting that one in their own way. My kick out sounds like this. Really fluffy, not a whole lot of attack. Just feel like it's extending the low end a little bit, but not in a way that's gonna compete with my bass. Third kick source is our sub kick. Again, a little bit more low end extension to complement our kick in. Then moving on to our first sample of kick, which is, I believe, an Aaron Gillespie sample. All this is really doing is giving me bite, more cut. If I'm dimming down my speakers to see what's jumping out at me, this is what I'm gonna grab to make kick cut through the mix a little bit more in a way that's not gonna really alter anything else. Frequency-wise, it's just something that's gonna go ka, 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 ka. And that's pretty much the entire kick picture with just some other room stuff. Now for the main event, snare. We have somehow limited our typical 40 to 100 snare samples down to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Down to 13. I'd say that's pretty good. This is gonna be a similar thing to the kick with regard to how I'm utilizing the sources that Brendan gave me. They're gonna be heavily reliant on the triggers. You can see that when I'm soloing all of the snares, when I'm starting to mix, making my way through all the drums, I'm making comments so that I don't have to solo things up. I can just kind of go, this one says snap. I'm just gonna bring that up and see if it helps, instead of like going, wait, which one was giving me what? Wow, groundbreaking. Our first snare track here is 57, snare top 57, classic. Another snare top, a 451, along with it. I think this comment is pretty apt, fluffy crunch. Just getting so much body out of that one. Moving down to the snare bottom. Moving down the line, some of the Sampura samples. Honestly, sounds weak as fuck compared to ours. I think I was just using that to just get a little bit more thump out of it. You can see I wrote Zac button. I'm assuming that this is just click. Yeah. So if I can hear kick and snare pretty much at the same level, sometimes even above the vocal, we're good. And I'll use this clicky sounding snare and the clicky sounding kick to make that happen. Our final three are just some snare room samples just to kind of create a little bit more of a stereo image for our snare. That's one. That one sounds so awesome. So all the snares together, including the room samples at the end, sound like this. Great. My relationship between kick, snare, and overheads, that's gonna determine so much of where the song ends up. I typically will start with overheads, get them sounding groovy enough, and then move my kick and snare into them. So this is how overheads sounded before. Some screechy stuff in the overheads that I know is gonna be an issue. That's gonna be my primary goal, is to be getting that stuff out so that when you're listening to it, you're not getting pummeled by ouchy frequencies from the drums. You can see me like identifying this zone as the ouchy zone and then, you know, bringing up some air, smashing it beyond belief. Don't want to have some certain sections where I'm not hearing cymbals. I want our overheads to be pretty consistent. This is me trying to remove some of the snare from the overhead so that our focus is on our direct samples. Tape machine to smooth it out a little bit. I just like how this plugin blurs transients a little bit more. Another soothe, okay, more smash. Faster attack to further get some of those initial transients out of the overheads. That big cracky snare that we just built up, that's gonna be the main driver of us hearing snare, especially with the transient. From there, I'm trying to kill some more of the ouchie at the expense of some of the articulation, but it ended up working out. Saturn because it sounds awesome, Black Box because it sounds awesome. And then I'm also ducking the overheads around the snare. Again, to really try to take out that initial transient. But I still want to make it sound natural. I think we got there. Okay, and let's hear kick, snare, and overheads together. All of my drums are going into a drum dry channel and then a parallel compression. The parallel compression looks like this for all interested parties. Going into the glue to absolutely smash it. Like 12 dB of compression, then into the VBC rack, which I don't know that anybody uses as plugin, but I do because it sounds bright and wide and a little crunchy, and then into Saturn. Because why? Sounds good. And then I'll just bring that up around our drive drums. And I'll quickly just run you through what we have for room stuff. What did Brendan give me? Mono kit, sounds awesome. I used a bunch of that. Oh yeah, and then his ceiling mics. He's got a small room, but it's got really high ceilings on the opposite side of his kit. So he puts these mics all the way up at the top of the ceiling and they sound fucking awesome and totally made these drum sounds. Kick, snare, and rooms sound like this. And then without rooms, it sounds like this. I just think it just takes it over the edge a little bit into human land, and that is ultimately the goal. Toms, we've got a rack, we've got a floor. Okay, this isn't Dave Matthews Band. He did the same thing that we did for kick and snare. He just laid his exact rack, a sample on top of his performance. That sounds like this for the rack, along with an Aaron Gillespie sample that sounds like this. And then the last two are rooms. Floor sounds like this. That's his recorded floor as a sample. And then another Aaron Gillespie sample. And then some rooms alongside it. Rack and floor sound like this. And I'll just quickly show you the reverbs I'm using. Our first one is just an overall drum reverb. It's a Pro R Studio A. It sounds like this. I'm using it on snare, I'm using it on toms. Next up is our tom room, which is just a little bit more pleasant to low frequencies. So I'll throw toms and I'll throw kick in as well. This is without it. This is with it. Can you spot the difference? And then I have two different snare reverbs. I have one that's more of a room, sounds like this. That one to me makes just a fucking giant difference. And then so will this next one. I have another snare reverb. It's a plate. And those are drums. Did I answer all the questions that you had going into this? I'm sorry I took so much of your time on drums, but to be honest, the drums always take the longest and are the most fun. When drums sound right, everything else sounds right, in my opinion. Everything else should fall in line after our drums. So, drums sound good. Let's see what I did on bass. I have two sources here. I have a DI and I have a Kemper. Most of the time I'm losing articulation with something like a Kemper, so I'll add in my DI, get a little bit more fingers, and then I'll make it incredibly loud because I'm the bass player in this band and I'm also the mixer. So guess what I get to do? Make the bass super fucking loud. All right, so before plugins, I was feeling like the low end of it was a little bit murky, and I know that I could get the low end articulation out of the DI. So this EQ right here is helping me achieve that into a absolutely smashed 2A, and then into a 3A because I wanted to be a little bit more aggressive, into Soothe, back into Saturn because sounds good. And then into an L2 because I think the L2 sounds awesome and just kind of brings everything up into your face, doesn't it? Another Soothe, and then into another EQ. As you can tell, I'm not afraid of plugins. If you're hearing something, make it happen. Do you think I give a shit that I have just on bass 5 instances of Soothe? Do you think that keeps me up at night? I don't give a fuck. Does it keep you up at night when you listen to the song? No. Do you think Monet was like, oh, I've got too many different shades of blue? I don't think so. I'm the Monet of mixing progress by good terms. DI. DI sounds like this. A little clunky, but still pretty articulate. I have an SPL transient designer on the bass DI. I guess I was feeling that even with me adding the DI to the Kemper, it felt a little blurry still. So this is my attempt to bring out some more fingers on it and really feel like I'm digging in. And then they're all going into subgroup, which has got some compression, which has got Saturn because it sounds good, another L2 because it also sounds fucking good, multiband to control a little bit of the low end again, and then I am ducking my bass to the kick so that they can both live in harmony and also support each other and not compete. So drums and bass, the heart and soul of our mix, sound like this. Once drums and bass are cool, I'll move on to guitars. For the most part, I'm using the same plugins on guitars just so they can live in a similar sonic world. Because we have so many guitars, it's nice for me to feel like I have a little bit of consistency sonically with them. So let's jump into Zach's rhythm here. Very nice. First plugin on all these guitars, 3A, then into an EQ, depending on what the guitar is telling me, then into an L2, then into Saturn because, very good. Then into Black Box. I think Black Box just has such a nice stereo width module, but it also has such a great air band, so definitely using those. My guitars, keys, synths, whatever, instead of ducking those to just the snare, I'm still ducking them around the snare, but only in specific frequencies. And because I love how much body the snare has in this song, I'm just ducking that frequency around the snare on guitar. So my sidechain is set to bus 17 and the snare is coming down bus 17. I'm ducking around 217, which is going to be that like kind of like ringy body bit of the snare, so that when the snare happens, that frequency in the guitar just gets shrunk a little bit. The guitars can kind of explode around the snare, and they're not competing for that frequency. That's the frequency that we're ducking around. I think I'm also doing that in crack zone too. And then from there, I'm just furthering the duck a little bit around the kick. Because this song is so bouncy and poppy, I want the guitars, I want bass, I want everything to breathe around that rhythm. Ducking guitars and bass to kick and snare helps, I think. This is Kid's part. I'm also sending all these guitars in varying levels to a room. Just, I feel like it livens it up a little bit. Ivan's part in the chorus. Jangle Jangle. Another Zach part in the chorus. So like a harmony to Ivan's part, so those two together that I've panned left and right. Let's get into vocals, I guess. Another outstanding vocal performance by Kid McShay. Kid's vocal in solo with no plugins sounds like this.
The way I used to be, the way I used to see myself versus everyone else is still more.
Subtractive EQ, a 2A that is absolutely smashing him to pieces. Also, I did some plugin automation to bring the peak reduction up. Instead of volume automating him, I just pushed him further into the compressor. I think Kid sounds great if he's smashed into a 2A. Sue me. 2A into Soothe, then into a more transparent sounding compressor, which is the glue for me, into CLA vocals, Don't Tell Anybody, into another Soothe, and then into Saturn because, yeah, see, now you're getting it. Into a multiband, into another instance of Soothe. I think Soothe's DS preset is excellent, so, and then another multiband.
The way I used to be, the way I used to see myself.
Yeah, you can see that I'm not doing a whole lot of additive EQ. With Kid's voice and with the microphone we use, which is a Sterling Audio ST69, I just find that it doesn't really take additive EQ super well, so I try to avoid that at all costs. And then in terms of reverbs and stuff like that, I tried to go pretty dry on this one. So I went with a slap.
The way I used to see myself.
So that's a slap. I put him into a little room as well.
Still more of who I was before.
Super subtle eighth note delay.
The way I used to see myself.
A plate, And then I think another plate. Oh, the humanity. He's using so many different reverbs. Oh no. Those plates and those delays for me are something that's like pretty imperceptible in the mix, but helps him kind of sit back a little bit, sit in with the band rather than just being like out in space. When you hear him in the mix, it doesn't sound like he's in two different plates and there's an eighth note delay. Like he can still be perceived as super dry and right in the front, but he also has a little bit of an extension that helps him fill in the gaps a little bit. That's the idea, at least. We have a couple harmony parts. I wanted them to feel like two different people. They were kind of like screaming in the background. I just wanted to feel like my friends are helping me out. Chorus is sounding awesome. If I were mixing this now, I would say chorus is sounding awesome. Let's mix in and out of it. And that's kind of my whole process, is just getting in and out of a chorus for the duration of the song. This way I can take my chorus and I can copy and paste the automation onto the other choruses, and it works as kind of like a nice frame of reference. So let's just quickly go through the song, and if there's anything that comes up of note, we can talk about it.
I've been so frustrated.
Kid's guitar part in this song is just an AC/DC song. Tell me I'm wrong. And right before our chorus here, I completely kill all of the vocal ambience, so it's like a big, dry moment for Kid. It's our first chorus. I want to make it count. This is the money maker, baby. Every band member in good terms throughout the song gets like one moment to kind of jump out a little bit and make a case for themselves that they are moving forward, that they are progressing in something. Like there's a little bit of like a try hard energy to this song. There's a little bit of look at me, I'm doing good, right? As a mixer, finding all those things and throwing them at the listener is ultimately my job. To listen to what the song is trying to tell me and then trying to further communicate that, right? The first time we really hear that voice coming up is with Zach's part here. I think it's awesome. Okay, moving on to verse 2, automating our hi-hat up whenever he's playing the hi-hat. No fucking shit. And then we have another one of those like quirky look at me moments. Nice. We're kind of crossfading into this like weird country section. I wanted this section to feel like a little bit like murky, a little bit swimmy. Was that like a country blues lick? Like I just wanted to feel a little bit disjointed. And again, we're coming up on another moment, which is like, I can play country too. Like if the song started here, your mom would probably be like, now what is this? This is nice. And then fuck you, mom. You don't understand me. The star of the section to me is Ivan's harmonic thing. This is his little moment. It's also an added bar for all you fucking nerds out there, which again is another layer of like, look at me, I'm like good at music. I, as a mixer, also get this moment because I just add a ridiculous sounding snare drum, which is this one. That's so fun. We get so much cork factor out of this section, which I think is really special. Do I even know how to play that? Is that what it is? Anyway. Okay, so once the try hard breakdown is over, we have Brendan's look at me moment. the barrel compression bumped there a little bit so that we get every single time his stick hits a head. Stomp clap chorus. When I was mixing it, I set up a mic and recorded the mic playing the mix through the speakers and me kind of like humming along to it just to kind of create a different space and add a little bit of character. Like you can hear me like whistling and kind of being like blah, 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 to like create this vibe of like put out by hearing this part that I feel like I've heard a bunch of times in music. When everyone comes back in, it's kind of like rejecting the feeling of being like, oh, I've like done this before. I'm so put off by like this whole music thing. That feeling of being like jaded by doing music for as long as we have. Having arranged this whole thing in a room together, we all got to kind of indulge in the things that we like doing. I think it was totally subconscious, like, you know, me making that slap fill is just because I thought that was fun. And obviously, like, I felt like it worked in the song. This is a product of me, unfortunately, loving Victor Wooten when I was 15 years old. Kid having this journey-inspired solo at the end, and our country section, all of this, I think, is a part of this song, which, like, trying not to be jaded by having spent so much time doing something and not feeling like you're progressing in it, that all of this time spent is not productive. I think this song is really just an homage to our younger selves, the things that when we started playing music, the things that we wish we could play, the things that we were learning, playing your instrument with your boys and being like, look what I can do. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's what this song is look what I can do. To juxtapose the idea of maybe not feeling like you're progressing in life or in your creative ventures or whatever. Does that answer your technical question about mixing? I'm sure it did. This was the sonic equivalent of filming a skate video when you're 13 with your friends. I'm here to make sure that the edit that I put together to put on YouTube includes my friend landing the one kickflip after trying 300 times. And everyone got to do a kickflip in this song. And hopefully I showed all of them. If you haven't listened to this song, you have now in very small doses. If you'd like to listen to the whole thing, do it. That is all I got for you. So, goodbye.